Hi everyone, I'm Jay and this is Vroom Vroom. Welcome back to the channel. Did you know that over 89% of those watching right now are not subscribed? Please do subscribe, it's free and it really helps the channel out, so I appreciate just taking the time just to press that button. Thank you. Well, today we are back on the 1050, which I decided to keep as my own, as I think I mentioned later on in the video. This has got it hasn't got any problems, but it's got a couple of things that I just wanted to tidy up, including the forks and a top end service. So, oh, and an oil service, oil change. So stick around. It's all in the video. I hope you enjoy it. It's actually time for a little bit of a rant before we continue. The next job on the 1050 is going to be the fork seals, which I'm just about to start now. But, and this is a big but. I have a big butt. Big butt. Anyway, moving on. Tools made just for specific jobs. I hate them. And it's just a way of scamming people out of their money. And let me show you why. So, to do the fork seals on here, I've had to buy two tools, special tools that I didn't have. Now, admittedly, one of the tools I should have had, but I've never had use for it, so which is a hex set, and it's a 17mm hex to go in there and do it. And the other special tool is for the top cap of the forks. Oh, I know, I'm talking like Captain Kirk there. And the top. Come into focus. Because that goes on there and that comes off. So it's just a way of gouging money out of you. Now, I went to Triumph to buy this because obviously I do get a trade discount there, and I got the air filter and the plugs and asked for this as well, and this on its own was around 60 quid out of there. Now I got this off of eBay and it was £20. Admittedly it's not an 8-prong one, it's a 4-prong one, but it will do the job just as well, he says. Hopefully. Yeah, anyway, but I mean, all manufacturers do this, and it's not just bikes, it's cars where you got to buy special tools. They want to do it in the house. They don't want people DIY fixing their stuff because it's takes money out of their pockets. So even though I dearly love Triumph and they've done me a lot of favours over the last few weeks, you know, these design, I don't know what you call them, design specialities are really there just to kick you in the arse. So anyway, enough whinging. Let's get on with removing the forks and get me some damping on the front. As I've mentioned, this carport is being converted and I'm getting a proper motorbike lift, so do not do this. I'm just about to lift the front up and support it on a piece of rope. It's a stupid way of doing things and it comes at great risk, but it's my risk. But do not do it at your place. Please take it to someone who's got the right tools, or if you've got the right tools, use them, because this is sketchy. So I went for a slightly safer option. It was getting a bit out of hand, so I've just leant it against the fence with a nice bit of wood, holding it just upright with the front wheel off the ground. And as soon as I get the front wheel off, I'll lower it down a bit. But the mudguard's first to come off, and it's just 4 Allen bolts going through, so that should be nice. It should be nice and easy. You can see there how wet the fork stanchion is. just making a reference for when I put it back together to how these go on. Right, I'll get the other side off and we'll pull this off. So both sides off, and that was probably the easiest one I've ever done. That took literally 30 seconds. So to get this done, let's have a look. This is slightly different to the ones I've done before. I do need to get the brake caliper off, and probably the AWS as well. So the brake calipers are again Allen bolts, which is fine, and it's a torque screw for the ABS. So let's get the brake caliper off from their 2 bolts. Let's take this off first. Nearly there. Another different size Allen head bolt to take out. That size? Yes. To say, these are all very well lubricated. That, hopefully the bike won't fall on me. Yep, so I don't need to take the wheel off completely at this stage because it's the right hand fork I'm going to do first. So all I'm going to do at the moment is just undo the Allen bolts, tying this in, and I've got 1 at the top, 3 in the middle, and then we should be all okay. So let's just move you around slightly and you'll see this. Better than I thought they were. Change your tool. So that's the leg off, the fork off, and I'm sure most of you watching now aren't really interested in the fork seals. You're just waiting to see if I drop the bike and swear a lot, which I've got to admit is probably an 80% chance of me doing that in a minute. I'm going to drop that. I know I am. Why am I doing this? It's not worth it. Oh my god. Oh, right. Let's see if the tool works in the top. Alright, so let's be the next thing. The tool doesn't fit. Oh, and luckily the tool does fit. Now there is lots of parts to these particular types of forks, so be very careful to document where you're taking it out of, so you know when it comes to putting it back. The only thing that I do know for sure is there isn't a lot of oil in there because most of it was over my patio. So that's yeah, actually just wind it off now. Oh, there he goes. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit complicated. I need a pair of swan necks in there to hold that nut in there, which isn't fully down, and I was expecting that particular nut to be at the bottom of the thread because that's a tightening sequence, so that will have to just help holding the damper and the system together, and all this has to be removed before obviously you can get to the oil seal. Even the oil seal on this, on the other models, you just bang them apart and the seal comes out. You can't do this on this because it's an upside down fork and the way it sits, so you need a hooked tool just to bring the seal out. So I have got one of those. Well, I've found a tool at some point that I've bent over which will help. And just looking at, oh shit, that's not good, is it? Don't tip it up too far, you idiot. And you can just see there with the dust seal, it's just in a really bad way, which doesn't give you a lot of confidence. Mind you, smelling, I've smelt worse. So we need to move to my fork seal replacement area and get on with this. Otherwise it's going to be bloody dark. Okay, right, I think I've got this. I think I've got it. So no loose parts in there. I know this damper rod is there, but I'm going to leave it there for the moment. And I'm just anything shooting off. Right. There and there. Spring is free, which I'll take out because I do want to give it a clean. I'm actually trying to get the bike ready for the Margate Meltdown ride at the end of this month. So I've ordered, as you know, some serviceable parts, which I'm going to start putting in now because they've started arriving. The oil should be here today. I've had a message. I've got the oil filter, which is great. The plugs and the air filter I've got, which are brilliant. I'm just waiting on the dust seals for the resized order that I put in because of the fork seals being the wrong ones. So that's it. Got all of the bits apart from that, but that's on its way, kind of. And something very special, I've actually ordered a bike jack. I'm messing about, and I should have done this months and months ago. I know the garage is being converted, which is great, but the actual when I was putting this bike up to do the fork seals, I could have lost it 3 or 4 times. Why would I put myself through that? I mean, the jack that I've bought is only about 45 quid, and I should have done it years ago, months ago. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. So today we're going to take the tank off. We're going to look for a vacuum air leak as well. It's possible that it's not anything to do with the vacuum lines. I don't know what these idle at. Normally, I just think it's slightly higher. I think it's somewhere between 11 and 12, which just seems too high for me, and it just sounds too high. I don't know if the throttle position sensor can be adjusted. I need to get this off, and have a good look at what the options are. So, but I did have a good bit of good news just a couple of hours ago to do with this particular bike. This is kept and being mine for a while, as I've explained to you before. But the people that I actually bought it off, the auction, came back to me today, which is probably a month later, and said, "Oh, we've got a spare key for the bike and the service book," which is brilliant. So yeah, that was really, really good news. But as you've seen, the spark plugs for this are tiny. Absolutely mad to think that a bike this side with this power has got such small spark plugs. I'll be interested to see what they come out as. I could have got the plugs off of somewhere like eBay, but as with the air filter, I went straight to Triumph because with the discount, it worked out just slightly cheaper than what they would have been if I'd have got them off of eBay. So that really was a good buy. Right, so 2 bolts at the top, 1 big bolt at the bottom. Whip that tank off, and let's see what we're dealing with. Not fill up with petrol just before you do it, otherwise you're going to have a very heavy petrol tank. Right, so I can see a couple of 10 mils down the bottom there that are held in. The battery doesn't need to come out. Don't forget to put your screws back in the holes, otherwise you lose them. I'm talking through experience there, of course. So looking at this, there's 2 Allen bolts, one each side, that are holding the airbox in from the top. Got to remove the air filter to get the wires out from underneath. Sensor there, module there, sensor there, and that should be it, and the 2 bolts underneath. So I'm thinking that's it. I'm going to find out. One breather. So I'm just checking all of the vacuum hoses for splits. And they look alright. Right, okay, well, let's pull the spark plug out and have a look. So I'm going to start with the easiest. He says the easiest. Right, so looking at the plug, I'll bring it over. Hopefully that's in focus. There is a bit of wear on the top. It's not, I couldn't say that's a bad plug, to be fair. I would say that it's, yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. What I did notice was that the throttle bodies and the butterflies were absolutely filthy. So I decided to give them a good clean, because, as I'm sure you know, the cleaner they are, the more the air is able to travel nice and freely across the surfaces, giving you a better idle and reducing friction, so it gets you more responsive as well. So that's what I was doing here. Bit of WD-40, a bit of a cloth, be careful, and that's it. And that is so much better. Right, so on the bottom of the airbox I did notice that there was a idiot, thinking why's that wet? I know why. So there was one more pipe that I didn't take off, but I've just seen where that goes. So that's all good. Just going to make sure that that's clean. So pop that one out. In for next. Probably it's the easiest job to do, and the only one that's got written on the packet must be trained by, must be fitted by a trained Triumph mechanic. Right, so that's our top end service done. Well, I never thought this was going to be a two-part video, but it is, because I'm still waiting on parts, and it just just went on a bit longer than I thought it was going to, especially with the mix up with the fork seals not being as big as needed. I did order them via the reg, but somehow they still ended up being the wrong ones. So even though at this moment in time I do have the fork seals, the new ones, I don't have the dust covers, so I'm still waiting on those. So this is to be continued. Please stick around, and we'll see what happens next.